Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. What's up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Monday to you all. A DK show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to make it an awesome week here. Whether you are listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online at sportstalk1051.com. Got your smart devices like your Amazon devices. You've got your app, Wisco Sports app. Download that. Take it on the go. Also, you've got your the video stream up and rolling here this morning too. So multiple different ways for you to be joining in on the conversation. Got that Shoe Doctors bullpen line up and rolling, ready for some of your takes. Hit us up, 715-830-1912, or the Section 105 chat room on our video stream. What do we have on our game plan for us this morning? Lots of baseball chat here as the Brew Crew taking 2 out of 3 against the Colorado Rockies this past weekend. Highlighted by the 11-2 victory yesterday, where Jacob Mizorowski again was off to an amazing start. Let's slow down there a little bit there. Gave up the perfect game after a solo shot, but nonetheless picked up his 11th win on the season to improve to 11-4. In 5 innings, struck out 12 and has lowered his season ERA to a 1.58. But the biggest thing is the Brewers taking 2 out of 3 after dropping the first game Friday afternoon to the Rockies. And now we'll head off to the West Coast, where they will begin a 3-game series against the Giants starting tonight. Brewers open up the week 66-39, a 7-game lead over the Cubs for first place in the NL Central, second best record in all of Major League Baseball, just slightly behind the Dodgers to open up the week here. Some news, too, is the Brewers designating for assignment Lance McCullers Jr., after just making a couple of appearances for the Brewers. So we'll hit that up, chat about that. What does that potentially mean as we inch closer and closer to the trading deadline? We've got more rumors and rumblings with the deadline coming up next week that does surround the Milwaukee Brewers, whether they're 100% legit or just a little bit of smoke. We'll keep you posted and keep you updated on the latest and greatest in terms of the rumors that are circulating surrounding the Brewers. And if you are a Brewers fan that wants this team to make some big moves, you're probably gonna like some of the rumors that are potentially out there surrounding the Brewers. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the kids, the youngsters. Cooper Pratt, Luis Lara had a really good weekend this past weekend. So we'll give them some credit here too. So plenty of Brewers chat here as we recap the weekend, look ahead to a series against the Giants, and get you caught up on the latest rumors and rumblings surrounding the Brewers here. So speaking of baseball, the Express, they did drop 2 close games to the Wausau Woodchucks this past weekend. Then yesterday's game in Thunder Bay, suspended, postponed. They're going to do a doubleheader. They're going to pick up where they left off yesterday. So it'll be coming later this afternoon. So 2 games today for the Express as they take on Thunder Bay. And then they return home finally to Carson Park after a long road trip. They're going to be staying home at Carson Park for a big chunk of the rest of the season here, the final couple weeks here. And the Express, even with dropping a couple of games to Wausau, they're in a really good spot to win this second half division because they're a half game up on La Crosse. But if you remember, La Crosse won the first half division. So that means even if the Express finished behind the Loggers, they would get that second half championship, and they have a 5.5 game lead ahead of Rochester, who would be next. So even with a couple of games dropped by the Express, they're still in a pretty good spot here to hopefully capture that second half championship. We'll chat a little bit more about the Express around 9 o'clock with Pete Knutson, who will be joining us from the Express. So Pete will be joining us shortly after 9 for our Eau Claire Express Monday morning chat. Also on the docket here, we'll throw a little football chat in here too, as we are getting set for Packers training camp to open up. The first practice will be on Wednesday. So we're just a couple days away. Maybe some of you are going to the shareholders meeting coming up today. Packers releasing some of their financials and all that. But we are inching closer and closer to the start of training camp and some preseason activities. So we'll throw a little football chat in there too. It is a VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. So what's the best and what's the worst from the weekend? You can make your picks, again, by hitting us up with a quick message either on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can hang out on the Section 105 chats. And if you want to hit us up with your thoughts on LeBron James, you can. Although I think maybe some people are like, just finally it's done with and we can move on at this point. But in case you missed it, late Friday, LeBron going to the Philadelphia 76ers. So, but that's kind of your game plan for us this morning, and whatever else. If you've got any takes, any questions, any topic ideas, we are an open book, so send those on over too. We would love to hear from you. So let's pitter patter, let's get at her, as Joe says on the video stream. Let's talk some Brewers baseball to open it up here this morning. So let's take our first break, and then we'll get things rocking and rolling here on the leadoff, recapping a good weekend for the Brewers, taking a look at some of the latest rumors and rumblings, and previewing the upcoming game against the Giants. And lots of Brewers chat here for this morning. Justin will be joining us here in just a skosh too, so we'll be right back after these quick words. When you're looking for your next vehicle, choose a dealership that knows and cares about the community it serves. Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls is proud to be locally owned and operated, providing hometown service and a better buying experience for drivers throughout the Chippewa Valley. Whether you're looking for a new Ford, a quality pre-owned vehicle, or trusted service for the vehicle you already own, the team at Toyson Ford is here to help you out. Experience the difference of shopping local. That's Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls, your hometown Ford dealer. All right, before we get to a little Brewers chat to kick things off on this Monday morning, we'll say good morning to Justin sitting across the way. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good weekend?
Very good weekend.
Yeah, good deal. So, hey, first off, I know Brewers, we're going to talk a lot about Brewers winning 2 out of 3. I'll say part of maybe for best of the weekend here. I don't know if you had a chance to. Did you watch the alumni game after Friday's loss?
I was able to catch like bits and pieces of it. I was working during the time, but it was on at the TVs at work, so I was able to kind of look up and watch it. I saw Casey McGee take that hit away from Braun, and I saw like Bill Hall hit a double. I saw that home run by Randy Wolf, so that was a lot of fun.
I really enjoyed it. I know they didn't, obviously try too hard, but Casey McGee laying out for that one-line drive. You could kind of tell maybe Braun really wanted to jack one a bit, but I enjoyed it. I know it was really quick. It was only 3 innings, but I give kudos to the Brewers for last year they did the alumni home run derby, and then this year they do a game here. I hope they continue to do stuff like this because I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
I went to the home run derby last year, and that was a lot of fun. I was hoping to make it to the game this year. I didn't, but it looked like a lot of fun. And like you said, I hope they continue to do it. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the Brewers play like those teams of old when they seem to honor them because they lost that game and they lost the home run derby one last year too. But it's always fun to see those guys come out. And yeah, Braun looked a little upset when Casey McGee snagged that ball at third base.
Yeah, he did. He probably was thinking double, at least 2 on there, or maybe even, depends on how much he was going to unleash the hammies
He's one of the younger guys on those alumni teams.
Yeah, some of those guys maybe feel really old. Seeing Giovanni Gallardo, all gray, Corey Hart's longer hair now, and some of them maybe with a little bit of a beard gut. Billy Hall looked with it. I'm like, man, I'm feeling really old seeing some of these guys.
And he was getting gray too.
I know.
It's amazing. I watched those guys as kids.
Yep.
They seemed like legends, and now it's like, oh, they're kind of like everybody else now.
Yeah. Yep. Cool to see Ben Sheets out on the mound. Jonathan Lucroy behind the dish a little bit there too. So no, I thought it was for about an hour or so. It was fun. To kind of watch and seeing some of those guys back on it. Because you're right. I mean, when I was younger, I mean, those were the teams. 2011 and 2008 were some of my favorite years as a Brewers fan. So seeing a lot of those guys back out there was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Even if I really couldn't pay too much attention, just looking up and seeing another legend basically every time, or at least another alumni, was a lot of fun.
Yep. I agree. So kudos to the Brewers for doing that, and hopefully they can kind of continue to do that. But you're right. Friday they fell in game 1 of their series with the Rockies, but they came back and picking up a win Saturday and picking up a win yesterday. Yesterday, Mizorowski he was on a tear to begin that game. We kind of joked so far throughout the season, maybe kind of running out of things to say about Jacob Mizorowski, but then he goes and does another thing that's, another MLB best or a record or what have you. But I mean, you're talking about yesterday, 50 as of, was it over 66 fastballs in the game yesterday. Every single one of them was in triple digits. The average was 102.8 miles per hour. Codify had this to say: as of 2 months ago, no pitcher had ever thrown 50 pitches at 100 miles per hour or more in a single MLB game, because, of course, they hadn't. Jacob Mizorowski has done it 7 times since then. 7 times since just 2 months ago. I mean, the kid's ridiculous. And, gave up the solo shots and just kind of maybe fell off the rails just a skosh there. I know Pat Murphy said afterwards that Miz wanted to go out for another inning, but I think it was smart to probably just take him out at that point in time. And, I know they're really probably going to be conscious about him and his usage up until October. But, I mean, what else can you say about Miz and 12 Ks and just keeps racking that up? Dude's electric out there.
Yeah, I love watching him. I said it yesterday. I love watching all of baseball because I'm a huge baseball fan, but obviously I usually like watching hitting a bit more than when my team is pitching. But I said when Mizorowski's out there, I almost like to watch the pitching more because it's going to be top-notch stuff.
Right.
I mean, 5 innings yesterday, 1 earned run, and his ERA actually went up by .01.
That's 0.01, yeah.
Amazing to me.
Yeah, you're right. That's unbelievable. I mean, he has set the bar. I've used the analogy or the comparison to Aaron Rodgers when Aaron Rodgers was at the peak. And, if he'd have a game where maybe he threw a couple touchdowns and 275 yards, people are like, what's wrong with Aaron Rodgers? Poor game, average game. And it's like kind of Mizorowski's almost like that at certain points. He's like, if he goes 6 innings and he strikes out maybe 9, what's wrong with Jacob Mizorowski? Kind of a bad, or in this case, 1 earned run, 12 Ks, and he actually bumped up his ERA just a little bit. He has set the bar so incredibly high, and rightfully so, but he has set it so high to where we almost expect greatness and epic performances every 5-6 days or whatever the next day is for his turn into rotation.
Which is amazing because he is 24 years old and in his 2nd year.
Yeah.
I mean, he took this jump, I think, a lot faster than anybody was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But I have loved watching every second of it.
Oh, 100. He has exceeded my expectations so far this year. I think we all kind of assumed he was going to be a little bit better than last year, but the jump, like you mentioned, that he has taken this year is astronomical. I mean, my opinion right now, head and shoulders the easy Cy Young Award winner in the National League. When you look at it, no offense to Sanchez or any of those other pitchers, but I mean, it's Jacob Mizorowski right now. That is clearly the Cy Young. Dare I say, best pitcher in Major League Baseball right now?
Yeah, I don't think that's an unfair assumption, and I think the award is his to lose. Knock on wood that he stays healthy,
yep.
And finishes the year out good. But I'm always looking forward to his next start. Hopefully, planning on going to a couple games, I think, yet. Hopefully I can see one of them.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, when we talk about, I think, for when you plan to go to a game, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, Mizorowski's one of those, like, you go on the schedule and try to plan it out to, like, okay, where's his start so we can go to that game and watch him. That's kind of how I mean, that's, to me, as a fan, that's like one of the best things is, like, ultimate compliments maybe you could pay an athlete is, okay, I want to plan my days around so I can go watch that guy pitch. So, especially if you got a younger kid like I do, and he's like, Dad, can we go see Mizorowski? It's like, I wish we could too. So, but, you mentioned he's 24, but this weekend too is also about a couple of guys that a little bit younger than him, and boy, they had some epic weekends. We're talking about Cooper Pratt and Luis Lara. Yesterday, Cooper Pratt collecting a couple more hits and a couple RBIs. Then Saturday, he collected 3 hits, including a home run, 3 RBIs for him. Luis Lara, couple of hits, couple of doubles Saturday, 3 RBIs for him, 2 RBIs again yesterday on 2 hits. So you look at Saturday and Sunday between the 2 youngsters, the 2 young guys who got contracts before they made their major league debuts. And right now, when you look at it for Cooper Pratt in his last 7 games, I mean, the man's hitting .435 and he's slugging .739 in his last 50 at-bats. He's hitting .380 and slugging .300. Last 30 games, a cool .290. And then Luis Lara, he so far this season, .303 with an .824 OPS. 33 total at-bats for him since being called up. And with that .303 average and .424 slugging. So tip your cap to the youngsters right now. A lot of times we see these youngsters maybe slow starts to their careers, and not saying these guys are going to continue to hit like this, but I mean, you look at a team that's half game behind the Dodgers for best record in Major League Baseball. And I think Pat Murphy, it was Saturday night after the game, he talked about, how many 21-year-olds in Major League Baseball are making impacts for their teams, especially teams like the Brewers, who are not only competing for a playoff spot, but maybe the top spots in Major League Baseball. And the Brewers have like 2, or he's calling Cheerio still a 21-year-old because he said Cheerio bought a fancy car apparently, so that's like knocked him down a year to a 21-year-old. But you look at those guys, yeah, they're big-time contributors right now on a first-place team.
And that's awesome because, again, all of these guys that you just named, Chourio, Pratt, Lara, we have for 7+ years.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, this is the core going forward. Hopefully there's 2 spots on the 40-man, maybe an extension's finalizing. I don't know. Maybe that's just trade stuff. But there could be another one coming, but seeing Pratt and Lara kind of already look this good. Lara's approach at the plate looks great. Pratt's hit a couple home runs recently.
Yeah.
His confidence looks to be basically at an all-time high. It is very, very promising for the future. And with the best farm system in baseball, even when these guys graduate from prospect status, I'm assuming that farm system will still probably be top 5.
You'd think so, because they're so deep. I mean, when you got Fisher, who started off in single A with the Timber Rattlers, now in double A, I mean, you still got, Jesus is the top one that everybody's kind of waiting on. Pena's there too. I mean, it seems like every level, whether it's with the Rattlers or double A with Biloxi or triple A with Nashville, there's a prospect that a lot of Brewers fans are anxious to see kind of, continue to make the ascension. I mean, Jet Williams is a guy we haven't seen yet this year. I mean, you got the list right there. It's a loaded prospect list, and maybe potential trade for some guys. Let's go through some of the rumors, because it was kind of an interesting weekend with some of the reports and rumors out there as we inch closer and closer to that trade deadline, which is coming up next, a week from today, August 3rd. So Brewers mentioned with some bigger names out there. Let's go through some of the latest rumors and rumblings. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. It happens every year. 1 minute you're outside, you're maybe grilling some brats, maybe you're heading to the lake or heading to some ball tournaments with the kiddos, and the next thing you know, you're shopping for school supplies and wondering where the heck summer went. But before the backpacks come out and the busy fall schedule takes over, now is the perfect time to freshen up your home with new flooring from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether it's soft new carpet for the family room, durable luxury vinyl planks for those muddy boots, or maybe some vinyl for muddy, like a mud room, muddy boots, with football coming up here with the cleats and that. Regardless, the team at Carpet City Flooring Center will help you find the perfect floor for your family and your budget. They are locally owned. They know Wisconsin homes, and they're committed to making the process easy from start to finish. Make the most of these last weeks of summer by stopping in the Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire today, because home is where Wisconsin families make their best memories. Obviously, Brewers are still winning a bunch of games. They're in first place. They're chasing the Dodgers for the best record, not only in the National League, but in Major League Baseball. But a lot of fans might be paying extra attention to this week because we are 1 week away from the MLB trade deadline. And we're starting to get maybe a couple more rumors and rumblings. And when it comes to the Brewers, well, there's a couple of reports out there that they have inquired on some of the bigger fish, big game hunting. Adam McCulvey, who covers the Brewers for Brewers.com, reports that the front office plans to be more aggressive than in recent years, and that they have checked in on Tarek Skubal and Mason Miller. So obviously Skubal, one of the better, maybe the best starting pitcher potentially available. Mason Miller, Brewers like their hard-throwing relief pitchers or hard-throwing pitchers regardless, and adding Mason Miller to the back end would be something. You got Adam McCulvey, who covers the Brewers. I would imagine that he's got a pretty good source, or a couple good sources there. One of the more interesting names, though, that apparently the Brewers have checked in on, and this is from The Athletic. Milwaukee reportedly has also looked in on acquiring C.J. Abrams from the Washington Nationals. Shortstop. That one's kind of interesting considering how well Cooper Pratt is playing, and they've locked up Cooper Pratt, for the long haul. But all right, would that potentially, just because, let me just play devil's advocate with this, just because they have locked up Cooper Pratt for 7 years, does that make him non-tradable, or maybe it makes him look a little bit more attractive to potential teams? I don't know, but what would your thoughts be if the Brewers acquired C.J. Abrams by the deadline?
I would like it. Abrams is a stud. He absolutely destroys the Brewers, or at least he did this year. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess Pratt, maybe they ask him if he's comfortable moving to third, or if Abrams is comfortable moving to third. I don't know if any of them have played games there in the minor league. Pratt in minors. I don't know if Abrams has played any major league there. I know that you probably want to keep Pratt at shortstop because he's a plus defender there. But Abrams could also be. You're acquiring him, I feel like, more for his bat than for his glove.
Yes.
And so he could slide into that DH role, especially because Yelich, Yelich could maybe just take a back seat, a little bit. He's not hitting the best. You don't want him to take a back seat. You're paying him so much, but I feel like that's kind of the path for Abrams. But I don't know. One of those guys you would think would have to move to third unless you traded Pratt away. But I don't want them to do that, and I really don't think they're going to do that. That's not a way a small market team normally thinks is, hey, we got this guy locked down for $8 million a year for 7 years. Let's go and trade him. I don't think they would do that, but it would be very interesting to see how C.J. Abrams would fit into the team as a whole.
Yeah, so I was just looking at some of the games where he has played when he was with the Padres when he was 21. He did play, looks like 13 games at second base. They even threw him out there for a few games in the outfield. But since being with the Nationals, he has been strictly a shortstop, just a couple games here as the DH, too. So you would think that one of those guys, if this is legit, which I got to imagine there's something to it, because, why else would the Brewers be attached to a shortstop when they've got Cooper Pratt locked up? So there's got to be at least some sort of interest in there. But you're right. It would make sense as one of those guys moving to third. Would it be C.J. Abrams? And you look at the contract here for C.J. He's under arbitration yet for a couple more years. He's not scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent until 2029, so he wouldn't even be a rental. I mean, the Brewers would have control with him for the next couple of years. So that's an intriguing option. And I think we have to remember, too, it wasn't that long ago. When the Brewers did acquire Mike Moustakas, they had a problem, too. It's like, where do we play Travis Shaw? So they had Travis Shaw playing some reps at second base. So, I mean, they've been down this path before where they've tried and moved other guys. So I would imagine if this is the case and Cooper Pratt would not be a part of any deal, I agree with you. I think Abrams is probably maybe the third baseman at that point. Then you got Abrams, Pratt, Terang, and then Bowers or Vaughn at first base. That's not a bad lineup.
Not a bad lineup at all. You just got to make sure everybody can play the position properly, because it's funny. I remember looking up C.J. Abrams back when the Brewers played the Nationals in that first series, when every time he came to the plate, something happened. And I was like, oh, he's got 2 years of arbitration after this. He's not being traded. And now Brewers are linked to him. I mean, it's exciting for sure. Mm-hmm. But again, like you said, it would just make that logjam in the infield, worse, because you have Madej in the minors, you have Pena waiting in the wings, you have Pratt, you have Jet Williams. And like you said, there's control over him. So what happens then? Mm-hmm. It'd be really interesting to see, but I am not opposed to adding C.J. Abrams to the lineup.
So let's say, because you got the prospect list up here, and let's be real here. They got a couple options at third base. I mean, Andrew Fisher is just skyrocketing up right now in the minor leagues. You got Jet Williams there, and he's their fifth-rated prospect. With the ascension of Andrew Fisher and what we saw in the World Baseball Classic was kind of like this guy may have something. And that wasn't a fluke, because he has proved in the minor leagues so far that, hey, that my appearance in the World Baseball Classic was not a fluke. I'm a pretty darn good hitter. So seeing that, does that make Jet Williams more expendable? And if it were Jet Williams for Abrams, would you be all about that deal?
I'd be fine with it. Mm-hmm. I think Jet Williams, as much as I was excited about him when we got him, I think he is 100% kind of the odd man out here.
Yeah.
Because you look at shortstop, Madej has that, and even if you try to move him to third base, Pratt is in the way there. Pena is most likely taking your second base spot. That it doesn't leave much for him. And like you said, Andrew Fisher, although I would like to see the hitting coach work with him on his strikeouts, that is the only thing that kind of alarms me. I think I saw he had 110 at-bats and 45 strikeouts. Mm-hmm. It's a little alarming, but, he's hit 30 home runs now for the first time. So I would like to see, or I would say Jet Williams is kind of the odd man out. If we were going to trade a big prospect, I'd say Williams is the first to go.
I would agree. I think it's Jet Williams. Jesus is not, he's untouchable. He's not going anywhere. I would even say Pena maybe not, just because he's in high A, there's no rush, right? You can be patient with him. Cooper Pratt, I don't think they're moving on from him. Lara, they're not moving on from him. And yet just the way that Fisher has just exploded, for everybody that's wanted a power bat, especially on that hot corner on the left side of the infield, he seems like the up-and-coming guy, coming up here. So, yeah, maybe, I was excited, too, about the potential of Jet Williams, because when he was acquired, you heard a lot from Mets fans saying not Jet. They were like, you guys got a really good, prospect coming in. We haven't seen him at the major league level, and I think that's – I know he was they talked about calling him up, and then he got hurt. But, I think a lot of it has been, just the depth, the opportunities there. And, yeah, he's played some outfield. He's played some shortstop and third base. He has that versatility, but – And maybe this adds a little bit more to his stock, just because we haven't seen him at the major league. That potential is still there. So maybe that star is, shining kind of bright yet for Jet Williams too.
Yeah. Well, again, the Brewers are no stranger to flipping prospects.
Yep.
If you look at the Jonathan Lucroy trade, the big prospect they got, and that was Luis Brinson,
yep,
who they turned around and traded for Yelich, I think, like 2 years later.
Yeah, because we were just waiting for Brinson, and, and it's like, oh, okay, they gave up a lot for Yelich, but that actually worked out.
Oh, it worked out great for the Brewers, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think he's kind of, he seems like the odd man out right now. I mean, it would suck because, I was excited for him, but if it helps the Brewers on an all-in push, I would be all for it.
Mm-hmm. Mason Miller, that would be an intriguing one, and when you throw in a Trevor McGill and an Abner Uribe, and then we're just throwing out if it were to happen. I mean, that would give flashbacks to those Brewers teams that had the 7th, 8th, 9th just shut down. I mean, if you get to a lead and then you hand the ball over to those three, more times than not, you're probably feeling pretty good. You're going to close out that game. That would take a lot, I would imagine, because, I mean, I think the Padres have plenty of suitors if Mason Miller were to get traded. So that one, I think, would take a little bit more to probably get done. But no doubt about it, he would fit that bullpen in the back end for the Brewers.
100%. That's my one thing about Jet Williams, though. If you're going to trade him, I'd really, ideally, not like to trade him for a relief pitcher, especially a rental. I mean, if you're going to get a starter at somebody's caliber, like a Skubal or like a Alcantara, perfect. But the Miller one is the one that scares me. I just have a feeling. I worry, and it sounds crazy saying they're giving up too much for Miller because he is a stud. He is insane. But I do sometimes worry that they might give up too much, especially because McGill has looked phenomenal since his slow start.
Now, Miller has 3 more years of arbitration. So does that maybe change? Because he's not scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent until 2030. The other part in this whole thing, too, is the upcoming, what's the new CBA going to look like? Does any of that potentially change? I don't know. Would a lot of this stuff get grandfathered in? Who knows? But, I mean, just what we have to work with right now, I would imagine, for Yankees have been attached with Mason Miller and these big teams have been attached with Mason Miller. That's just the fact that he's controllable for the next 3 years is going to up that price tag a whole lot more, too.
I'm going to be honest, I did not know that he had 3 years of arbitration left. That has completely actually changed my thought process. Jet Williams, I'm fine if we get Miller for him, knowing that he's got time, because I believe Trevor McGill's contract is up after this year.
I believe so.
So
yeah.
You need to find a starter or at least another premier setup guy. If you get Miller, or the closer, I mean. Miller will be the closer for sure in the future.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if Yoho continues to kind of improve, you could have a Yoho, Uribe, Miller final 3 next year, which would be a lot of fun to watch.
That would be a lot of fun. Yeah. Skubal, I still don't see happening with the Brewers, even though with some of their injuries to their rotation. Now, if it were to happen, okay, let's go. Let's ride, right? I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. I don't know if they would have the amount of capital to acquire Skubal. But, I appreciate, as a fan, too, I think we have to – I don't know what's going to happen in the next week, whether the Brewers stand pat, whether they're going to be aggressive. McCulvey says in his report that the Brewers plan to be more aggressive, but price could dictate a lot of that. I'm just glad that we're finding out that the Brewers are at least inquiring, right? They're like, hey, what's it going to cost? Are you willing to deal, or what, if you are a Brewers fan that wants to see the Brewers add a couple big pieces, you're probably pretty happy hearing some of these stuff. Now, if it comes to pass where they don't make a move and you do want them to make a move, you're probably going to be a little bit upset. But it seems like right now, if we look at all these rumors, it sure seems like Matt Arnold is willing to at least open that door a little bit to make some moves.
I think they'll make moves. I really do. The thing is what moves are going to be made, because I feel like every year it's the inquiring. The Brewers are calling about these big names at the deadline, and then trade deadline comes and they get Nick Mears and Brandon Lockridge. Like, they're moves that could be, can be, they can be good in hindsight. They turned Nick Mears into a solid reliever when he was with the Crew. Lockridge looked like he maybe turned a corner this year, but they're not always the fun, splashy, shiny moves. I hope one this year, with how deep the prospect pool is, with how good they look, I hope they say, let's bust down the doors. Let's go for at least, maybe add at least 1, if not 2 key pieces that really shows that they're going all in.
Yeah. Does it kind of give us maybe hints, especially after Lance McCullers was designated for assignment. You mentioned a little bit earlier the 40-man roster. There's a couple spots open now. Maybe that's an extension to, again, one of their younger guys, or opening up spots to potential player acquisitions. I mean, I think it was last week when we were talking about this McCullers trade. It felt like Colton Gordon might have been the guy that they were really targeting, and Lance McCullers was kind of thrown. Well, now that you see it, it kind of feels like that was the case, that Lance McCullers had the name, but maybe wasn't the guy that the Brewers were really hoping to acquire, really wanted to acquire in this deal. But, I mean, you got a couple open spots now. It's hard not to speculate with a week left to the trade deadline and a team that's, in first place and competing for the best record overall, that maybe they're going to have a couple of those spots opened up for some players who are not on the team at this point in time.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody was thinking, at least. I mean, I think it was Adam McCulvey that tweeted out Brewers have 2 spots open, so there could be something in the works.
That's going to make this week. This is going to be a really interesting week here, too. So we're going to talk more about this trade deadline coming up here and just maybe kind of getting a glimpse of where some of the teams are at. And there might still be a question mark who's actually going to be sellers. And, did we get a clearer picture after maybe some of these weekends games? So we'll hit that up coming up here, too. But we got to take a quick break before the top of the hour. We're already cruising through here. We're gonna wrap up the first hour coming up after these few words. Hey, what are you doing tonight? If you got nothing planned, don't forget VFW Post 305 has their music bingo nights on Monday nights starting at 7 p.m. So if you want to stay indoors where it's a little bit cooler out with the muggy temperatures and that, you can head on over to the VFW Post 305 located 1300 Star Avenue in Eau Claire and play with their Monday night music bingos. And maybe you're looking for a good meal or just some cold beverages. No better place than the VFW Post 305 right here in Eau Claire. Continue to send us your best and worst from the weekend, our VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. You can hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or on the Section 105 chats on YouTube. We'll get to some of your comments coming up here in just a little bit. But we are 1 week away from that MLB trading deadline. And when you look at where things stand in Major League Baseball, as we try to figure out, well, who are the sellers at this point in time, did we get a little bit of a clear picture? I don't know. It's a little bit tough because you look at where the standings are, at least in the American League. I mean, Boston has completely changed their season around. It wasn't that long ago where we were talking about, is Sonny Gray going to be traded? Is Contreras going to be traded? Is Chapman going to be traded? Well, they're in a wild card right now, and they just continue to win. And then you look at the AL Central. I mean, Cleveland is a wild card team, but Minnesota is only a game back. The Mariners are only 1.5 back. The Astros are only 2 back. Baltimore is only 2.5 back. The Tigers are only 3.5 back from wild card. I think there's a very good chance they're not going to trade Skubal because they're only 3.5 back from a wild card spot. Blue Jays are an interesting spot. They're 5.5 back. They were a World Series team last year and couple outs away from being World Series champs. They got a lot of attractive pieces that teams could inquire on. And then the National League, you got your Cubbies, Phillies, and Diamondbacks as the wild card teams, but Pittsburgh's only a game back. We're talking about C.J. Abrams. Nationals are only a game back from the wild card. Cardinals 1.5. Padres are only 2 back. Talk about Mason Miller. Miami's 3, and then the Reds are 5 back, and then you got the Giants here, who the Brewers are going to be going up against this weekend, which we'll preview here coming up just past 7. So a lot of these names that are being floated out there, I don't know if these teams know if they're going to sell them at this point because, we're a week away, but a lot of these teams, like the Nationals, would you trade C.J. Abrams if you're only a game back from potentially making a wild card appearance?
That's
a tough call.
It's a very tough call. I mean, but part of it, you could be thinking, maybe the rest of the team is super young. You want to get a little bit younger. And, I mean, another thing is you're looking at, if you're in the National League, you got the Dodgers ahead of you.
Yeah.
You're pretty much like, this might not be the year anyways, So, but that's tough. The Nationals already made one trade with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Which might show that they're selling. Marlins have lost 11 straight, but it is tough because there are not a lot of teams that are far back. Right. I mean, if you're looking 9 games or more behind, of the wild card at least, there are only 6 teams in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, the Athletics are fairly young, and the Rockies are fairly young, and the Mets have a lot of large contracts. I mean, it's not exactly seller-friendly.
I think the Rockies, one more win, and they've already tied, or maybe they already did, their win total from last year already.
I think so.
I mean, that's how bad they were. But, maybe there's some improvement. But can you imagine if you're a Nationals fan and there's rumors that C.J. Abrams could be traded and your team's only one win away or one game behind making the postseason? A lot could be played out for sure. But from a fan perspective, that's got to be really tough to kind of hear. Yeah. Okay. So they got 42 wins or 43. So they need one more to tie their win total from last year. So at least there's some improvement from if you're a Rockies fan, you're trying to look for something, right? And it's like, hey, we're one win from tying our win total from last year. But it's if you're the GM of those teams too, I don't envy the position that you're in, especially like the Nationals or Twins. I mean, we were talking about, hey, Ryan would be a nice addition for this Brewers staff for a starting pitcher, but they may not want to trade him either if, they sold off on how many players last year, and I think they've exceeded a ton of expectations this year. The fact that they're just one out, and that AL Central, I think, is still up for grabs. I know the White Sox are defying a lot of expectations here, but you look at it, Twins are only 3.5 back, Guardians are only 2.5 back. That's still anybody's division, too. So
anybody but the Royals.
Pretty much,
but
yeah.
The only player they have is Bobby Witt, who they're not giving up Bobby Witt. No. I mean, this is the product of, you've got multiple teams with 60 wins. The Braves, the Brewers, and Dodgers are all just, they are like the top of the MLB. And the Rays have 62 wins, but I think this just causes everybody else to kind of be middling in the wild card. I mean, it is impossible to tell who are sellers right now. And this next week, I think, is going to be very make or break for some of these borderline teams.
I agree.
But again, it's not impossible. The Brewers traded Hader when they were in first place, I believe, and that caused them to spiral and fall out. So you could always see a team like the Nationals who just might think maybe it's not their year. They sell early on somebody, and I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It will be. All right, let's preview Brewers Giants. Shot clock's going to cut us off, so we've got some news updates to kick off the second hour. But we'll be back in the second hour to preview this upcoming series.